Some places are beautiful. The Cook Islands somehow decided that was not enough, because over the next few days, this journey turned into something far bigger than we expected. One moment we were gliding through lagoons, so clear it felt like the kayaks were floating in midair. And the next, we were deep in the jungle, climbing volcanic trails, where the roots of massive trees became the only thing pulling us uphill. We found hidden waterfalls in the middle of tropical forest, tiny islands scattered across glowing blue water, ancient roads built from coral over 1,000 years ago, and landscapes shaped by volcanoes that still completely define the island today. But what surprised us most was not just how beautiful this place is, it was how different every experience felt. Quiet one moment, wild the next. Relaxed until suddenly you are balancing on a paddleboard at night, questioning every life decision that brought you there. And somehow, that is exactly what makes this island unforgettable. So if you think you know what tropical travel looks like, stay with us, because this journey is only getting started. Some travel days are about distance, others are about contrast. And then there are days like this, where you cross so much of the world that the version of yourself that left doesn't quite match the one that arrives. Leaving Madagascar wasn't a simple departure, it was a sequence. Airports, connections, long-haul flights, and the gradual feeling that you're moving further and further away from something familiar. We started in Antananarivo, surrounded by red hills and dense city movement, and slowly stepped outward into a completely different global rhythm. Each stop along the way felt like a transition point. The air changed, the language shifted, the pace adjusted, and somewhere in between all of that, the journey stopped feeling like a straight line and started feeling like a reset.
There's always a moment on long travel days where your sense of time just gives up. You stop asking what time it is because the answer doesn't help you anymore. We had meals that didn't match the clock, naps that didn't feel like sleep, and Joe confidently announcing we were almost there, at least twice before we actually were. But that's what makes this kind of journey different. You don't just move across the map, you feel the shift. By the time we were on the final leg, I wasn't thinking about Madagascar anymore. I was just curious about what comes next.
And then, after all of that distance, Rarotonga appears. It doesn't gradually introduce itself, it just arrives. A small volcanic island surrounded by a lagoon so vivid it almost doesn't look natural. From above, the reef forms a near-perfect boundary, holding the ocean back and creating this calm, protected space inside. After everything we've seen recently, large landscapes, layered cities, long distances, this feels focused. Simple, almost deliberately contained.
It's one of those views where you stop whatever you're doing and just look. No distractions, no overthinking. Just that quiet moment of, okay, this is different. And after that journey, different is exactly what you want.
Landing in Rarotonga is less about logistics and more about atmosphere. The airport is small, efficient, and welcoming in a way that feels personal rather than procedural. There's no sense of pressure, no rush to move you through as quickly as possible.
And you notice that immediately. Nobody is trying to get ahead. Nobody is rushing past you. Conversations take a little longer. Movements are a little slower. It's not disorganized. It's just not forced.
That's what people refer to as island time. But it's more than a phrase, it's a different approach to how time is used. Instead of compressing everything into efficiency, it stretches moments out so they can actually be experienced.
Which is great, once your brain catches up. At first, you're still in travel mode, expecting everything to move quickly. Then you realize there's no reason for it.
Rarotonga's landscape is the result of volcanic activity that began millions of years ago. The island rose from the ocean floor as molten rock cooled and formed a central landmass. Over time, erosion shaped that land into steep ridges and valleys, creating the dramatic interior we see today. Around the edges, coral reefs developed, forming a natural barrier between the island and the open Pacific. That reef plays a critical role. It breaks incoming waves, protects the shoreline, and creates the calm lagoon that defines the island experience.
So what you end up with is a mountain rising out of the ocean, surrounded by its own natural swimming area, which feels like someone designed it specifically for maximum enjoyment.
And because the lagoon is shallow and protected, sunlight reaches the seabed easily. That's what allows marine life to thrive here. One of the most interesting things about Rarotonga is how simple its layout is. There's essentially one main road that circles the entire island. It's about 32 kilometers long, and in theory, you could drive the whole thing in under an hour.
In theory. In reality, you'll stop constantly, because every few minutes there's something worth pulling over for. A view, a beach, a small shop, or just a moment where the light looks too good to ignore.
The road isn't just functional. It connects everything: villages, beaches, local life. It all sits along this loop, making the island feel both small and complete at the same time.
It's the kind of place where getting somewhere is less important than what you notice along the way.
We head to Titicaveka on the southern side of the island. This area is known for its clear lagoon and quieter atmosphere. It feels more residential, less commercial, and gives you a better sense of everyday island life. Paradise Holiday Homes is where we're staying, set within dense tropical gardens. The property is designed to feel private, but not disconnected.
And the moment you step in, everything shifts. The noise drops, the air feels softer, and suddenly there's no reason to rush anything. Joe immediately decided the pool was essential for recovery, which was a very strategic way of saying he was going to lie down and not move.
Long-haul travel requires adjustment.
You adjusted horizontally.
The best way to understand Rarotonga is to get into the water. So we head to Tikioki Marine Reserve, one of the island's most important protected areas. The reef creates a calm lagoon, but within that lagoon there are different zones: shallow sand flats, coral gardens, and deeper channels where water flows in and out.
Which means 1 minute you're walking comfortably, and the next you're floating without warning. It keeps you alert.
That water movement is essential. It brings nutrients into the lagoon, supports marine life, and keeps the ecosystem balanced. One of the most remarkable features here is the giant clams. Some can weigh over 200 kilograms and live for more than 100 years. But what makes them truly interesting is how they function.
Because they look like something designed. Bright colors, almost glowing patterns, sitting perfectly still like they know exactly what they're doing.
Those colors come from symbiotic algae living inside their tissue. The algae perform photosynthesis, producing energy for the clam. In return, the clam provides protection and access to sunlight.
So they're not passive, they're actively working, just very quietly.
They also filter water, improving clarity and supporting the entire ecosystem around them. Beyond the clams, the lagoon is filled with reef fish, parrotfish, butterflyfish, angelfish, each playing a role in maintaining balance. Parrotfish, for example, help create sand by breaking down coral and processing it.
Which means part of the beach exists because of fish. That's a fact you don't forget once you hear it.
Everything here is connected. Remove one element and the system changes. As evening settles in, we head to Muri Night Market. This is where the island's food culture comes together in a relaxed, open-air setting.
It's social, but not overwhelming. You move through it naturally, picking what you want, talking when you feel like it, and just enjoying the atmosphere.
The scale keeps it approachable. It's lively, but not chaotic. Ikamata is the national dish: fresh fish marinated in lime juice and combined with coconut cream.
It's simple, but it works perfectly. The freshness does most of the work.
It reflects how island cuisine developed, based on availability, simplicity, and balance. And by the end of the day, the transition feels complete. Not because everything is understood, but because the pace has changed.
You stop trying to rush. You stop trying to plan every moment.
And you start matching the rhythm of the place.
Or you try to, and eventually it wins.
There are hikes that challenge your legs. There are hikes that challenge your lungs. And then there are hikes like this, where the island quietly waits for you to underestimate it. Because today, we are leaving the lagoon behind. The beaches, the calm roads, the easy island rhythm, and heading directly into the volcanic heart of Rarotonga. What looks peaceful from the coastline changes completely once you move inland. The mountains rise fast, the jungle thickens, the air gets heavier, and suddenly the island feels far bigger than it did from sea level.
This is the point where people usually say something encouraging like, "The view will be worth it."
And to be fair, they are usually right, eventually. The Cross Island Walk is one of the most famous hikes in the Cook Islands. It cuts directly through the center of Rarotonga, crossing valleys, jungle terrain, and volcanic ridges before descending toward the opposite side of the island. And what makes this hike special is not just where it goes, it is how quickly the environment changes. Near the coast, everything feels open. But once you enter the interior forest, the island closes around you. The trees become denser, the ground softer, the sounds sharper, you stop hearing traffic and start hearing water, bird calls, wind moving through leaves, and your own footsteps trying not to slide downhill.
The humidity out here is impressive. It feels like the air itself is participating in the hike.
That is jungle hiking. You are not just moving through the environment. The environment is fully involved in what you are doing. And then the trail starts climbing steeply. This is where the island's volcanic terrain really starts to show itself. The soil becomes uneven, the path narrows, and the roots of massive tropical trees begin stretching across the trail like natural staircases. Except these staircases were clearly designed by nature after a very long day.
This is less walking trail and more creative problem solving.
Exactly. Because at certain points, you are not really hiking anymore. You are climbing, hands on roots, feet searching for stable ground, using the trees themselves, almost like ladders to pull yourself upward. And what makes it fascinating is realizing these roots exist because tropical rain constantly reshapes the soil. Many trees here spread their roots outward instead of deep downward, helping them stay stable in wet volcanic terrain. So, the very thing helping us climb is also what helps the forest survive. And then suddenly, the jungle opens, not gradually, not slowly. One moment you are surrounded by dense green forest, and the next, there it is, Terua Manga, better known as the Needle, a dramatic volcanic rock spire rising sharply above the jungle floor, steep, narrow, and impossible to ignore. The Needle was formed through volcanic activity millions of years ago. As softer rock around it slowly eroded away, this harder volcanic core remained standing, which means what you are looking at is essentially the island revealing its geological backbone.
It looks like the mountain forgot to finish forming.
It really does. Like nature got halfway through construction and decided it already looked impressive enough. Getting closer to the Needle changes the experience completely. The terrain becomes steeper, more uneven, and every step starts requiring attention, not because it is dangerous, but because the environment demands focus. Loose rock, tree roots, wet sections of trail. The kind of terrain where you naturally slow down and start thinking carefully about movements. And this is where hiking becomes strangely immersive, because once you stop thinking about everything else, your world becomes very simple. Step, grip, balance, forward. That rhythm takes over.
I think the mountain has officially taken control of the conversation.
It tends to do that. And then you reach the viewpoint. And suddenly everything changes again, because from up here, you finally understand the shape of the island. The mountains dropping sharply toward the coast, the lagoons surrounding the shoreline, and beyond that, the reef forming a near-perfect ring around Rarotonga. From above, the reef almost looks like someone drew a border around the island. Bright turquoise lagoon inside, deep Pacific blue outside. And that reef is not just beautiful, it is essential. The coral barrier protects the coastline from stronger ocean swells, helping create the calm lagoon waters the island is known for.
So the island basically built its own protection system.
Exactly. Nature doing long-term engineering, very successfully. And standing up here, you realize something else. Rarotonga is not large. You can drive around it in under an hour. But from this height, it feels vast, layered, alive. Like every side of the island has its own personality. Going down turns out to be a completely different challenge, because gravity suddenly becomes very enthusiastic about participating. The trail narrows again, the roots become slippery, and every downhill section feels like the island quietly testing your coordination.
This is the part where dignity becomes optional.
Very optional. But descending also changes what you notice. You start seeing more detail. Small plants growing between rocks, ferns unfolding toward the light, tiny streams running down the mountainside. Everything here is connected to water. And eventually, the forest opens one more time, this time revealing Wigmore's waterfall, fresh water flowing down through dense jungle into a calm natural pool surrounded by tropical vegetation. After the climb, the heat, and the humidity, this feels less like a destination and more like a reward. The water here comes directly from rainfall, collected in the island's mountainous interior, filtered naturally as it moves through the volcanic landscape. And because Rarotonga receives significant rainfall in the highlands, these freshwater systems play an important role in supporting the island's ecosystems.
Translation: the mountain makes its own swimming pool.
A very effective one. The moment you step into the water, everything resets, the heat disappears, the noise softens, and suddenly the entire hike feels worth it. There is something about freshwater pools in the middle of jungle landscapes that changes your sense of time. Nobody rushes, and nobody checks anything. You just exist in the moment.
This is one of those places where you accidentally stay much longer than planned.
Mostly because leaving sounds like unnecessary effort. After all that climbing, we decided to change strategies completely. Less hiking, more wheels. So we rented electric bikes to explore one of the oldest surviving roads in Polynesia, the Era Metua. This ancient inland road is believed to be over 1,000 years old, built using coral slabs and connecting early settlements around the island long before modern roads existed. And that detail alone is remarkable, because coral is not something most people imagine using to build roads. But on islands where volcanic rock and coral reefs shaped daily life, people adapted using what was available.
Which means, technically, this island solved infrastructure using the ocean.
Exactly. And somehow made it work for over a millennium. Exploring by e-bike changes the pace completely. You move slower than a car, but faster than walking. Which means you actually notice things. Small gardens, local homes, fruit trees hanging over fences, roosters confidently acting like they own the road. And because the electric assist handles the harder sections, you spend less energy struggling uphill and more time enjoying the surroundings.
This might be the first transportation method where Joe has not complained once.
That is because this one comes with assistance. I support all forms of assisted travel. And after a full day of climbing, swimming, and cycling, there is only one logical ending: food. Specifically, banana poke, a traditional Cook Islands dessert made using overripe bananas, coconut cream, sugar, and starch baked slowly until it becomes rich, soft, and almost pudding-like. What makes banana poke interesting is how practical its origins are. On tropical islands, bananas ripen quickly, especially in warm, humid climates. So instead of wasting overripe fruit, communities developed recipes that transformed them into long-lasting desserts.
So this entire dessert exists because someone looked at old bananas and refused to give up.
Exactly. And honestly, that level of optimism deserves respect. The coconut adds richness, the banana brings natural sweetness, and once baked together, the texture becomes dense, smooth, and incredibly comforting. It feels homemade in the best possible way. A volcanic climb, natural ladders hidden inside jungle trails, a mountain rising above the island, freshwater pools deep in the forest, an ancient coral road, and a dessert built from simple island ingredients. Today was not about speed, it was about movement, through landscapes, through history, and through the island itself.
And somehow, every part of it felt completely different from the last. Some islands are beautiful from the shore. Rarotonga is not one of them, because the real magic starts the moment you get into the water. Today is not about looking at the lagoon, it is about moving through it, fast, quietly, and occasionally, with far more confidence than coordination, which becomes important very quickly, because today includes underwater scooters, tiny islands floating inside the lagoon, glowing paddleboards, and one beach activity that somehow turns fully grown adults into extremely competitive commentators. And honestly, that last one may have been the most intense part of the day. The southern side of Rarotonga feels different in the morning, quieter, softer. And Titicaveka Lagoon is one of the clearest places on the island. The water shifts between turquoise and deep blue, depending on the depth. The reef protecting the lagoon from stronger Pacific waves, keeping everything calm enough to explore slowly. But today, we are not moving slowly. Sea scooters look simple at first, a handheld underwater propeller with handles on each side, and then the guide explains how fast they move. Suddenly, everyone starts paying much closer attention.
This feels like someone looked at snorkeling and thought, what if this needed more speed?
Exactly. And somehow, it works beautifully. The scooters pull you through the lagoon effortlessly. No kicking, no fighting currents, just smooth movement through the water. And the strangest part is how quickly your brain accepts this as normal. 5 minutes earlier, you were standing on the beach. Now, you are gliding over coral like a very relaxed sea creature. The moment you lower your face beneath the surface, everything changes. Sound softens, movement slows, light bends through the water in shifting patterns, and suddenly, the lagoon feels enormous. The scooters allow you to cover far more distance than traditional snorkeling, which means the environment keeps changing around you. Coral gardens, white sand channels, schools of fish moving together like a single shape. And because the lagoon is shallow in many sections, sunlight reaches almost everything below, making the colors feel unreal. And then, without warning, you see a green sea turtle moving calmly through the lagoon. No rush, no panic, just steady movement. like it has absolutely no interest in being impressed by any of us. Green sea turtles are common around the Cook Islands reefs, especially in protected lagoon systems like this one, where seagrass and calmer water provide ideal feeding grounds, and seeing one underwater feels completely different from seeing one from a boat, because suddenly you are moving through the same space at the same level.
That might be the calmest animal I have ever seen.
It has clearly mastered emotional balance, unlike some people I know. And then the lagoon shifts again. A shadow moves below, wide smooth eagle rays gliding across the sand. And somehow they do not really look like fish. They move more like they are flying underwater. Their wing-like fins move slowly, effortlessly, and for a few seconds, everything else disappears, because moments like that demand your full attention. The longer you stay in the water, the more disconnected you feel from the world above it. No engines, no noise, no pressure to move quickly, just movement, current light, and life everywhere around you. It stops feeling like an activity and starts feeling like another environment entirely. Then the day shifts again, because scattered throughout the lagoon are small islands known as motu. Motu is the Polynesian word for a tiny island or islet inside a lagoon. And these little pieces of land feel almost separate from the rest of the island, quiet, untouched, surrounded completely by shallow water. We kayak toward Motu Koramiri. The water so clear you can see the sand below the entire way. And this is where the lagoon really starts showing off fish moving beneath the kayak, coral patches appearing suddenly below the surface. Everything feels calm until the wind changes direction, and suddenly paddling becomes significantly more educational.
The island looked much closer 5 minutes ago.
That is because optimism travels faster than kayaks. Stepping onto the Motu feels strange at first. Tiny stretches of sand surrounded completely by water, palm trees leaning toward the lagoon, and for a moment, it feels like the rest of the world disappears. No roads, no buildings, no noise, just reefs, sky, and water in every direction. As the afternoon fades, the lagoon changes again. The light softens, the water darkens slightly, and everything becomes calmer, which is perfect, because the next experience only works after sunset. LED paddleboards, which already sound slightly unnecessary until you see them on the water. The boards glow from underneath, lighting the lagoon below in electric blues and neon greens. And suddenly, the ocean starts glowing back. The moment you paddle away from shore, the experience changes completely. Fish appear beneath the board, moving through the illuminated water. Coral structures glow softly underneath you. The lagoon that felt calm during the day now feels alive in a completely different way. And because the water is so clear, you can see movement constantly beneath you. Tiny fish darting through the light, reflections shifting across the sand. It feels futuristic and peaceful at the same time.
I would like it officially noted that paddleboarding at night somehow feels more difficult.
That is because your balance has realized it can no longer trust the situation. And for a few seconds, everyone suddenly becomes extremely focused on not falling into glowing water. And then something unexpected happens. You stop worrying about balance. You stop thinking about paddling and you just drift. The sky above completely dark, the water glowing below. And suddenly, you feel suspended between two completely different worlds. And just when the day already feels impossible to improve, someone mentions hermit crab racing, which sounds adorable until it becomes competitive, very competitive. Small hermit crabs are placed carefully into a circle drawn in the sand, and whichever crab escapes first wins. That is the entire sport. And somehow, people become deeply emotionally invested, almost immediately. At first, nothing happens. The crabs sit completely still, clearly refusing to participate in our expectations. Then suddenly, one moves, another follows, and within seconds, everyone is shouting encouragement at tiny sea creatures, making deeply unpredictable decisions.
I backed the wrong crab emotionally far too early.
And somehow that sounds like a life lesson. That is the thing about Rarotonga. It never tries too hard. One moment you are underwater with turtles, the next you are cheering for a crab named Turbo. And somehow, both experiences feel equally important at the time. Today was not about one moment. It was about movement, through water, across the lagoon into the night, and every part of it felt different from the last, fast in some moments, completely peaceful in others. The kind of day that makes you lose track of time completely. And honestly, that feels very appropriate for this island. You know, a place leaves an impression on you when even the quiet moments stay in your head afterwards, not just the big views or the dramatic landscapes, but the smaller things. The sound of water moving through the reef, the way the jungle suddenly goes silent before rain, the feeling of warm air after climbing out of a freshwater pool, and somehow, those become the moments you remember most. Over the last few days, this island has taken us from volcanic mountain trails to hidden waterfalls to glowing lagoons after dark, and every experience somehow felt connected, even when they were completely different, because Rarotonga does not try to overwhelm you. It wins you over slowly, one calm moment at a time. And honestly, that may be the smartest thing an island has ever done. So, if you have been part of this journey with me so far, thank you. And if you think the adventure ends here, absolutely not. Join me again, next week. Same time. Only here on Sky 83 channel, every Monday at 8:30. Because what comes next might completely change the pace all over again. Stay curious, and I will see you next week.